Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Sazeo Basakio Serenge of Plage Metaverse. It's good to have you here on screen, on WhatsApp, on Zoom. And tonight we'll be looking at some issues that probably have not been discussed on WhatsApp group. Just some few things about what it means to be a caregiver. Talking about mental health and this relationship with caregiving, because most people that undergo traumas or need care definitely must be undergoing some level of mental health challenges. You can't diverge the two. And we'll also be looking at, for those of us that want to, as we say it, you want to jackpot, if that is your aim, which is not our aim anyway. Ours is to train enough manpower to help the healthcare system in Africa, not just Nigeria. We are building an army of caregivers that can stand anywhere, hold their own, and provide care where there's need for care. You can work in any hospital, you can work anywhere, you need the experience, the expertise. That is what we want to achieve. But if in the process, you find yourself living in a country or you find yourself outside the country, good and fine. You should be prepared to be able to offer care anywhere. It could be in the UK, it could be in Canada, it could be in Zimbabwe, it could be in Ghana, it could be in South Africa, no matter where. Yeah, you should be prepared. Plage Metaverse is accredited by American Council for Training and Development. And any moment from now, we'll be having our ITOR certifications and CPD accreditation too. So you are loaded, you are in a program that is loaded, and your certificate too is going to be loaded and heavy. And we are going to make sure that when you get your certificate, before you bring it out, people will want to say, who is this person talking? Before they even ask for your certificate. And that is what we hope to achieve. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to call on board 3 persons here. And the first person I'm going to call is Mrs. Abosede Edokpa. Next person I'm going to call is Mr. George Hemba. And we also have the other person, Ovo Essay. Ovo Essay is going to be talking to us about IELTS. It's going to demystify IELTS and make us understand why we need to take it if we have to take it. Just a minute. Then Abosede is going to talk about working as a caregiver, a practical experience, what you need to know, what to expect. Just painting a picture that makes you see yourself working as a caregiver. And George Hemba is going to help us to look at caregiving from the angle of mental health. That if you have issues, you are having challenges that requires care, what will be your mental state at that point in time? As a caregiver, you should have some element of, some level of knowledge of mental health care that helps you to also better appreciate your clients that you are handling. So, Mr. John Hemba, I will call you right now to just briefly introduce yourself before we go into the main program. Just 1 minute, 2 minutes to introduce yourself, Mr. George.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Osaze. My name is George Hemba. I'm a consultant in business development, project management, international, and also in mental health. I'm resident here in Abuja, and it's a pleasure being in your midst this evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. George. We've hosted you several times, and it has always been a bomb once you are online with us. Everybody wants you to come back, and it's good we have you back here. Mrs. Abosede Edopa. I saw you not too long. Let me search for your name. Abosede, okay. Kindly just introduce yourself. Just 1 minute or 2 minutes. You can mute yourself and introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mrs. Abosede Edopa, and I live here in Abuja.
Thank you.
I'm happy to be here too.
Thank you. Thank you. That's good. And Mr. Essie, over to you. Just 1 minute introduction. Let's get to meet you.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Osaze.
Thank you.
And thanks for this opportunity. My name is Ogenovu Essie. I am an IELTS instructor, and I've been working with British Council and IDP, facilitating IELTS for over 10 years. It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You're most welcome. So I had to, Plage had to go out of his way to look for these great men and women to give you a feel of, a practical feel of what you should be expecting. And I think it's going to be a good time together with them. Okay, we are going to start with IELTS. I said IELTS so that we can separate it from the other business of the day, which is caregiving. Mr. Ovu Essay, kindly introduce IELTS to us and just demystify it a bit before you decide to go into other areas. We just give you some few minutes to talk about that. Over.
Okay, thank you very much, the moderator and Mr. Osaze at the same time. And as I said, it's a privilege to be here. And it's also a thing of passion to talk about IELTS. I'm very sure most of us probably would know the acronym IELTS. And just like Mr. Osaze said, it is actually good for us to make it simple so that everybody will understand what it means. Basically, it's an English language requirement, and it's beginning to form an essential part of immigration, migration documents these days. You know, it's a document that's almost required when you're going to be migrating either for educational purposes or you want to work abroad. Now, the simple meaning of IELTS is International English Language Testing System. International English Language Testing System. That's the meaning of IELTS. It is a proficiency test that shows how well an individual can communicate in English. And it's actually quite important because when we have the opportunity of traveling abroad, what is popularly known as JAPA, if you have the opportunity of traveling abroad, especially when you travel to English-speaking countries, it is expected for you to communicate in standard English. And unfortunately, the background we have in Nigeria is such that sometimes English is adulterated. The kind of English you speak is assumed not to be as standard as what obtains in most of these English-speaking countries. I'll give you a quick example. An average Nigerian man will tell you, I will see you next tomorrow. In the standard parlance, it is quite incorrect to say, I will see you next tomorrow. The standard way of saying this is, I will see you a day after tomorrow. Now, for you to be able to communicate well when you get there eventually, when you succeed in your JAPA dream, you should be able to communicate effectively and appropriately. And that is why it is important. And that is why they have made writing these tests important so that they could test how well you speak or how well you could
Yeah, I
use
think.
English when you get.
Oh, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Ese, we've lost you. We can't get sound from your end. I think it's the network from your end also.
Now, we've talked about the purpose. Let's look.
Okay. Okay, over to you, Mr. Ese.
Sorry, can anyone hear me, please? Mr. Osei,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. It was breaking initially.
Okay, sorry for that.
Okay.
I was actually at the point where I mentioned the fact that if you are traveling to the UK, you'll be expected to do what is called IELTS UKVI. This is specific to the UK alone, especially for those that want to do that want to probably pursue a career in caregiving. You know, so it's actually very important for you to do what is called UKVI General. Now, the UKVI General is a module that most establishments in the UK who run caregiving outfits would recommend or require prospective people who want to join them there or who want to join the organization to have. Now, is it a difficult thing to do? Is it a difficult test to take? I would not say yes. It is actually a very simple test to take. What is IELTS about? IELTS has 4 components to it. It has what is called reading component, listening component, writing component, and speaking component. I'll say that again. There are 4 components to IELTS. Writing component, the speaking component, reading component, and the listening component. These 4 components are important. However, to pass or fail IELTS is dependent on the organization that is requesting you to write it. So there is no one basis for I have passed IELTS or I have failed IELTS. So what makes to pass or fail is what the organization that you want to work for or the school you are going to requests of you. For the purpose of caregiving, there is a standard in the UK, for example, for you to be accepted in any organization in the UK for immigration purpose, as well as for the organizational purpose, you must score half of the mark. Now, IELTS mark is over 9. The general band for IELTS is band 9, which is the highest band you could score, the highest mark. Now, for you to be able to pass through immigration and get a job when IELTS is a requirement, it means you must get 4.5 over 9. 4.5 over 9. And the implication is that in the 4 components I mentioned, which is writing, listening, speaking, and reading, the candidate or the test taker must have 4.5 in each component. Each component is scored over 9. Writing is over 9. Speaking is over 9. Listening is over 9. And reading is over 9. Now, for you to have passed IELTS based on UKVI's requirement for caregiver, it means that you must get 4.5 over 9 in each component. Anything short of it means that you would have to retake the exam. Now, to pass IELTS, what you need to do is just expose yourself, perhaps to standard materials and exposure to standard classes, perhaps, and we have provision for this, where we have expert tutors who have interacted with Cambridge University. In Nigeria, there are two bodies that are responsible for dispensing the tests. These two bodies are British Council, and the second body is IDP MOD. Now, both bodies are working in synergy. They're working together with a parent body, the owner of IELTS, which is Cambridge University. Cambridge University is the owner of IELTS because they're the ones that set the exam. So what British Council and IDP, what they do in Nigeria is to help them coordinate the exam in Nigeria. So that's why when you want to register for IELTS, they tell you, you can either register with British Council or register with IDP MOD. The two of them are working in collaboration with the owner of the exam, which is Cambridge University. Now, there are two types of, there are two ways of taking the exam. It's either you're going to be doing what they call the CBT, which is the computer-based test, or you could do what is called the PBT, which is the paper-based test. Now, the questions they set are the same, whether you are doing the computer-based test or you are doing the paper-based test. The difference is that for those people that are going to be doing the computer-based test, they will have to type their answers and use the computer to write the answers, and probably the computer will be the basis for doing all the work. But for paper-based, as the name implies, you would use a pen or a pencil to write your answers on the paper. Now, the implication is this. For the paper-based test, your result comes out 13 days after the exam. While for the computer-based test, the result is faster. It comes out between 3 to 5 days after the exam. Now, if you are good, if you are proficient in the use of computer, you are good with computer, you can apply the computer very well, then it will be advised for you to use the computer-based test because the result comes out faster. But if you're not very comfortable using the computer, then you can use pen. You can do what they call the PBT, which is paper-based test, so that you'll be comfortable using your paper and pen to write. However, the result comes out 13 days after the test. I know money issue is very important, and here to take the test, UKVI for caregivers, most of you that are going to be doing maybe UKVI for caregivers is 89,005. I'm not sure presently what the price is because it fluctuates. I think that will be subject to discussion when we look at what the price is, because as at yesterday we got a circular about certain changes in the price, so it's not actually best to say what the price is. But if there is a need for that, I think we'll furnish you with that also. Then what is important to note is that you need to interact with expert tutors and someone who has a very intensive, in-depth knowledge on the exam to help you pass the exam. Even though we say it's actually quite easy, we have seen people who do it for once or two times before they pass it. But for people like us who have been in the system for quite a long time and who have had the privilege of being an agent or being agents with British Council IDP and has had the opportunity of being trained by Cambridge University, we have known the secret. And so what we do is to give you the shortcuts most times that would make you effortlessly get what you want to get. I think perhaps let me stop here and maybe feel your pulse and get questions from you and know where to focus more attention on. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ovo Esse. That was quite just a solid presentation, and I think it has, to a large extent, demystified IELTS. In fact, a lot of people don't like to hear about it. For me, I will tell you that I won't even do it, because why should I be writing after studying English from primary school to university? They come and tell me to write English because I want to go to UK. They should keep the UK. I won't write. But for those of you that are insisting on doing Japa at all costs, just understand that this is one bridge you must cross. There is no canoe and there's nothing. So you must swim across it. And that river is ILTS. So luckily, you have somebody here that will teach you how to swim and cross it, because you must swim it alone by yourself. Okay, that's good. Next, let's talk about caregiving. Caregiving is something we do every day. If you have a baby at home and you're able to change pampers, take care of crying babies, or you're in the church, you belong to a department in the church that cleans the environment, make sure people are okay, babies are not crying, children's department. You help people to ensure that they are okay. They're in the counseling unit. Like in my church, there's what we call Ministry of Help. No, things like that. You are already a caregiver. Is that sounding very strange? But that's the honest truth. For some of us that go to the village to bring some young ones to come and stay with us, help us carry our children while we are at work, take them to school. We even register them in school, call them nannies, we call them whatever. Those people are already caregivers. In fact, they are best suited to be in UK. So you can see the reason why you need to start doing most of these things now as practical for yourself. When in church, please go and join help department where you render help to people. You take care of children in church. Maybe in the mosque too, I'm sure they have such things. Find yourself in NGOs. You should be able to volunteer your time. And I've been advising a lot of people that, look, if you're in the Ministry of Health, if you're in Children's Department, if you're in such area where you offer care to people, ask your organization, your church, or the NGO you are volunteering for to ask them to give you a letter that you are in this department working as XYZ from this date to this date. And if you are exiting or you are leaving, they should give you a letter of disengagement. They are not paying you, it's free. But these are documents that when you are searching for a job here or abroad, will come in handy. And you will just be shocked that they will write your church or write your organization. This lady said she has done XYZ kind of job. Is it true that she worked with you? What area, what department? So many things we are already doing. We are already caregivers by default in Africa. We are caregivers already. But the professional aspect of it, where it now has to do with you getting paid, understanding the laws governing you as a caregiver, is what makes it a bit different now from what we already know we are doing. However, the practical aspect of caring, like our nanny, our mothers that will come and do omogo, they're actually caregivers. You find somebody is sick and somebody is staying with the sick person, making sure the person is okay. The person is already a caregiver. And I can assure you that it's not everybody that can do it. You have some qualities that you must possess. Well, Mrs. Abosede, you are here. Can you just tell us what it means? What it means to be a caregiver. Just give us just some few minutes example of what it means to walk into a place and say, I'm a caregiver, either as a volunteer or a paid caregiver. Let me unmute you. Okay, I can unmute you now.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Like you said, we are all caregivers in one way or the other. If you're a mother, you're a father, you're a sister, you're a brother, we all give care in one way or the other. But what makes it different in this case, is you understanding the different aspects of care you're giving. There are different, you can have a client that is not sick, 100% okay, but he or she just wants a companion. You can give, companion. Then you can also have a client who is disabled. Yeah, you can also have the one that has mental health issues and the elderly that you can give care to. In it all, you must be qualified and trained. Hallelujah. You must be qualified and trained as a caregiver. For whatever position you're taking, you must be trained and qualified. I remember Brother Osaze, Dr. Osaze, right now saying, if you have a baby at home, something happened to a friend of mine in the UK. She was looking after this elderly person, and she was smelling something fishy. So she wanted to know if the person had, maybe poo-pooed in a pamper or something, and she used her nose to smell. She just went down and, she just wanted to know the way we all do it, if a baby has messed up herself, we carry the baby up and put our nose on the pampers to smell if, the baby has done something. And that was what she did, not knowing that there was a camera in the room. And, she was almost prosecuted for that little act because, they said she was, she was almost persecuted. So, there are some little things we do here that when you go there, you cannot do. And that's why I said you must be trained. Training is a very, very important aspect. You must also understand the risks involved, with caregivers. There are some people you cannot carry, but in Nigeria, yeah, we just want to use our power to do everything. But over there, you can't do that. If you have to use the machine, you have to use the machine to carry them. Induction as well must be taken very seriously because that is where you are told the do's and don'ts. You must know the company policy. You could be working in a Christian charity, we're very religious here in Nigeria. We see something, we say blood of Jesus and all that. But there are some organizations, they don't want to hear that. You might be working in a Jewish organization, an Hindu organization, a Muslim organization, You must know all that. You must know the history of your clients. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. You must, like I said, you must understand the company policy, terms and conditions, procedures, key points. And another important thing, is reporting skills. There was this organization I worked in. I had to leave that place because on an hourly basis, you must write in a report on the residents there. You must go around their rooms and, and when I just did that as a second job, it was like a ninth job, let me just go there to sleep. And the first day I got there, they knew I slept all through. The second day, the third day, the residents in that place, like two of them, jumped through the window and ran away. And when the police came, they were asking me, they asked for the incident book. that would have gotten me into into a big I didn't even have my complete papers then, you know, and the police came. What is she putting on? Was she wearing? Her trousers, the color of her trousers, and all that. Thank God I saw her in the afternoon. I didn't see her when she ran away, but I just told them that that was what she was wearing and all that. So little things like that. Incidents, you must put down everything. And you know, when you're taking a care job, you must know the history of that person, you know, especially when it has to do with mental health, because your safety is important, is most important, you know, and the safety of the service users. Yeah. So your reporting skills must be exceptional. Every situation must be reported, you know, because that has gotten a lot of people into trouble. You know, when you don't report situations at work, it looks as if you're hiding something. You know, there was one time a resident, she gave me £5 because, of course, she said, that she just wants to give me a gift. You're not allowed to take gifts from service users, you know. And she insisted and said, if I don't take the £5, I will be breaking her heart. I had to call my supervisor to say, this is what the person is saying. And, you know, even at that, I had to give the money to my supervisor. You know, you're not allowed to take gifts. So there are little things, you know, we must know. Like the change of the environment. It was a bit difficult for me when I started working because I couldn't really understand their language. They were talking too fast for me, you know, so communication skills. And, you know, for anything you want to do, say you're not even allowed to give them drugs, say you want to change their pampers, you have to let them know. You have to let them know, like, for example, Mrs. Smith, I'm going to change your pampers now. Mrs. Smith, I'm going to lay you back on your on your left hand. You have to say it loud, you know. There was a colleague of mine that was dressing up someone that had already died, you know, because when you are looking after the elderly, things happen. You know, they are just in that home, you know, being looked after until they die. So when they die like that, even even while they are dead, you're still talking to them. Mrs. Smith, we have to prepare you for the mortuary now. You know, that's the way it works over there, and you cannot assume. You know, I had problems with assumption. If she's hungry, she should tell me that she's hungry. No, you're there for a job. You cannot assume, and that's why training is key.
Oh, Mrs. Bosse, are you there? Or we've lost you? Are you there? Okay, you can unmute yourself now, Mrs. Bosse.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you.
I'm almost done.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'll be taking questions from students after the third person. Now we've seen all about what it means to give care. I'm sure she was painting a picture, and I'm sure a lot of us were picturing ourselves actually being the ones in those homes where you will say, Mrs. Smith, can I change your pampers? Mrs. Smith, can I do this? Mrs. Smith, can I do that? So you saw yourself doing it, and now you will be asking yourself, are you sure I can actually be a caregiver? No, it's good to know what you are going into so that you don't waste your time and resources. I always tell people that if you want to study geography, don't say because you like geography, you want to study geography. Go and ask people that have worked in that department for years and are retiring, all the dangers that are also involved in studying that course when you start working with that course. If you want to be a medical doctor, go and ask people that are medical doctors, medical directors, what they see every day and what they get every day. So now as a caregiver, you've heard from the horse's mouth what it means to be a caregiver. It's not as if it's all that. You should also be, there should be moments where you enjoy the job, it should be fun. Well, and you can also know that sometimes it's not always going to be fun. Okay, Mr. George Hemba, if you are there, we would like to hear from you. And I want you to tell us, as a mental health expert, what you think those of us in caregiving should understand about mental health of those that need care, assuming their state of mental well-being is shaky. What do you think we should be able to do to balance it up with our job as caregivers? Mr. George.
Okay. Hello. Good evening. Yes. Hello. Good evening once again, Dr. Osaze.
Good evening.
And ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Specialists. I think I would like to take it from a position of the ethics of a caregiver. Is that okay?
Yeah, good.
Then I'll balance it up with what is expected of you as a caregiver, and then with some mental health skills. One of the first ethics of a caregiver is to be kind and respectful. That means, as a caregiver, if you are dealing with your client or a patient that is going through a mental health disorder, disorder could be depression, it could be anxiety, it could be schizophrenia, it could be bipolar disorder. You know, these are disorders. And as a caregiver, one of your duties is to take care of your client. And kindness is not what you pretend to be. You should be kind to your client and also respect your client. You're not respecting your client because of age, but you are respecting your client because there are some things that he will expect of you, which ethics demand that you should show absolute respect and kindness. The second ethic I will say is to be punctual. Because as a caregiver, you are having a patient or a client that is undergoing some certain disorder. You have a time frame of when you are supposed to report to duty and when you are to close. And just like Mrs. Abosede said, there should be some form of affirmation when you are discussing with your client. So you will be like, Mrs. Sleeve or Mrs. Sleep, if you are going to run late, I'm sorry, I'm going to be late by 10 minutes. I'm sorry, I'm going to be late by 15 minutes. Let them know. But as much as possible, you should be punctual at your duty post. And for you to be effectively punctual at your duty post, that means you should be able to organize yourself in a way that you should get to your duty post where possible, 10 or max 5 minutes to time of your resumption, so that you're not jumping into resumption. We in Africa, most especially here in Nigeria, we're used to talking about, we talk about African time. In the Western world, time is of great essence. And if you spend a minute late from your duty post, it is deducted from your salary. Because in your agreement, you have included that from a certain time to a certain time, you don't own that time anymore, but your employer. So it behoves on you to show utmost respect to your employer by keeping to time. Another ethics that I would like to say is that you should always honor your client's rights and to privacy and confidentiality. Imagine your patient or your client opens up to you what they are going through. It could be anxiety, for example. Imagine you are meeting an elderly client, or your client is an elderly person, and he's going through some form of anxiety. He will love it the more, and he will appreciate it the most if whatever he tells you, you keep it with utmost privacy and confidentiality. You don't go around telling everybody, including his family members, that, oh, your patient is going through this. You should come and see what you can do about it. No, because by doing that, you have blocked the avenue for him or her to tell you more things of what is going wrong with him. And by extension, when you don't have more detailed information of who you are taking care of, you cannot conveniently discuss with the appropriate medical personnel to take care of that situation. Mind you, as a caregiver, your duty is to profile and provide utmost care to your patient. Another one I would like to share or talk about, another ethics, is never leave your client unattended to. You can imagine maybe you have a sick client that is going through depression, and your duty is to see that he's constantly being attended to, and you leave him and you sit down and you're watching television. As of that time you're watching TV, may be a time that your client is ready to talk about some certain things that can relieve him of that depression. So your duty at the time you are resuming to the time you are closing, you should give your patient complete attention. Then another ethics that we should also imbibe and go by is maintenance and to clean and organize a home. Because your duty again as a caregiver is to ensure that there's utmost the environment that the client you're taking care of, his environment should be absolutely clean and well maintained. So you're like a housekeeper. So aside giving your patients attention, you should ensure that his environment is neat. Just like Mrs. Madam said earlier, it is not every time that your patient is sick. But in the case of when you are having a patient that is going through a disorder, one of the things that will help indirectly in the recovery rate of that patient is ensuring that the environment is tidy, it's clean. Another one I will say is that, just like Madam had rightly said, we should keep our religious beliefs and political choices or personal issues private. And likewise, we should respect our client's belief. So imagine your patient or your client is going through an issue, maybe, for example, his political beliefs, and then his party he belongs to or affiliates himself with is having issues. It is not your duty to now join in criticizing or condemning the other party. Maybe you are doing that to make him feel right, because it will only deepen or worsen his depressive state. Or his state of anxiety. Keep it to ourselves and respect the beliefs of our patients and clients. Then imagine your patient is going through a disorder as a result of a financial transaction that he has carried out. It is not in our place to say we'll engage in any financial transaction or intimate relationship, either with our patients or with even their family members. Because psychologically, we are draining such patients. Emotionally, which is also indirectly in form of anxiety or depression, we are affecting the mood of our clients, or better still, our patients. So as much as possible, we should know that we are there on a professional note, and we should keep every single aspect of what we are doing in a professional manner. And we should not engage in any form, even if the patient comes and starts trying to play with you and rub you and want to show some form of, you should try to be as professional as possible. By the time you start having someone touching you and all that, you begin to move from empathy and compassion into start having some attraction to the person. And then that will on its own give you a misguided way of managing your patients. And the organization that you are working for will definitely not like such a thing, or would not like to hear of such a thing in existence. Another form of mental disorder is addiction, where your patients may be suffering from being either a workaholic, an alcoholic, or a drug addict. As much as possible, even if you take some form of alcohol, you should never as a caregiver, never such that your patient, even if this alcohol or the other alcohol, you should never. You should find a kind way or a nice way of trying to stop the patient or avoid not attending to the patient in that form. When we started this course, or rather training this evening, this short discourse, I like it that we had to talk briefly on IELTS, on the use of English. That simply means it's very important that we know the appropriate words of what to say to our patients at every given point in time. Appropriate words is not just the words on its own that we want to say, but effectively communicating, and then your patients understanding exactly what you're communicating. So in a given situation whereby your patient is requesting that you either buy drugs for him or her, or you help in bringing drugs from a particular place, you should be able to communicate accordingly that it is something you cannot do, that is against your ethical practice. Then last but not the least, as I would like to share, still under the ethical practice of a caregiver, is while you are at work, you should know that the given period of time allotted to you now belongs to your employee. So if you are with your patients, there are some certain things it's expected you should not do, so that you have absolute attention to your patient. One of them is the issue of not answering your personal calls, not texting or chatting during your period of stay. If you are having a break period in the line of your work, you can use your break period to attend to your personal calls or text messages, but not when you are at your point of your duty post. With these short little stuff I'll share this evening, if there's anything that comes up, we can answer the questions accordingly. But then I'm just trying to juxtapose the caregiver's ethics and what is expected in how, or rather how you can handle a mental disordered person. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and a very good evening once again.
Thank you, Mr. George Hamber. You've done justice to that topic. And it's even good that you titled it ethics. It's good we have and we know the ethics of what profession we are working into. It's good to know, just like Mrs. Abosede said, you need to know the history of your clients and the history of where you are working. And now I'm going to add that you also need to know the history and all that guides the profession you are going into. Very, very important. I understand you definitely will be going through induction once you get engaged, wherever, here, abroad, or anywhere. But if you know this before you get engaged, it gives you an upper hand. Yeah. Thank you. We'll be taking questions now. Please, as much as possible, we should make our questions very brief. We don't need to elaborate and go around to ask our question, just go straight. Like question somebody just asked, what if your client beats you or beats you? How do you react to that? And more questions like that will be coming up. But before we answer that, we want you to raise up your hand if you have questions to ask, please. Just raise up your hand if you have questions to ask. Please, next time when you join a Zoom session like this, it's very unprofessional for you to join a Zoom section and you start asking for phone numbers. Very, very unprofessional. It's not proper that you do that. You are with an organization. You have access to their email. You have access to their phone number. You can always request for this thing. Not that a lecturer is teaching and the next thing you're asking for is phone number. It's very, very wrong. There are some characters and attitudes we need to start learning to change before we go out there. As a caregiver, you do not see a client, probably had a visitor, and the visitor is highly connected, probably is a minister or one thing, and because the person is so happy with you, taking care of his or her friend or brother, you quickly want to get the person's phone number. Things like that are not advisable. It's common. It happens every day. I see it happening every day. But please, let's not allow that. It becomes part of us. We should also learn to say no when we need to say no. Very important. Okay. So far, so good. I can just see 2 hands raised here. It means we just to have 2 persons that want to ask questions. Yeah, just raise up your hand on the system. Okay, let me start with them. Ugonna Talita. Ugonna Talita. Ugonna Talita. Okay. Yeah, I've unmuted you. Please say what you want to say, Ugonna. Just 1 minute, straight to the point. What's your question?
I would like to know about the English test. If you are not in the area of Mr. Ovo, I'm at Enugu State. Is there a place where I can take the exam without traveling to Abuja?
Okay, Mr. Ovo.
Do they have an office in Enugu?
Mr. Ovo, this question is for you, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Ogunna. I think, yes, you can write in Enugu. They have an office in Enugu where you can take tests. They have a British Council office in Enugu. So the tests are done there too. Thank you.
Can we have the address?
Okay, you get in touch with Mr. Osaze. I'll send the address to Mr. Osaze so you can get in touch with him for that.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Noted. We are going to send you addresses of everywhere you can. You know, Mr. Ovo essay coming on board was not actually part of this program. But because we felt a lot of people will need his kind advice and support, we decided to say, come on board, so that we plug all the gaps that may exist after this training. And if you check what you just paid and what we intend to give to you, and we are already giving you, you will be very, very much assured of the fact that this is actually sponsored. Otherwise, we should be charging far and over and above what we are charging. So just be rest assured that you land safely and you'll be happy after your training. Okay, thank you, Ugonna. I can see you are happy with that answer. Gift Chukwuemeka. Gift Chukwuemeka, are you there?
I am, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear, over.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. Thank you for this great training.
Thank you.
Straight to the point, sir. I want to find out, in the ethics, how can one manage your client in the aspect of the nutritional diets based on the ethics you mentioned? Because you notice that most of these clients, they are selective in terms of nutrients, that's eating their diets. Is it possible for one to be able to know their diet, and then when eating, when they are having their own meal, are you expected to eat along with them at that moment, or you stay aside? Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. George, over to you.
Okay, is it possible you take the question again, because it was actually breaking from my side?
Yeah, she asked if it's possible to talking about ethics when a client is about to have his or her meal. Is it proper to have it to the client, or to what is the ethics surrounding eating with a client or around the client or where the client is eating?
Well, I will say that that comes down to an understanding of exactly in the area of mental health, what the person is going through. If he's going through some certain disorders that requires him to be encouraged, right? If he's going through some disorders that requires that you encourage him to eat, there is need for you to eat in his presence. But ethically, you are not expected to eat in his presence. Or ethically and professionally, you are not to eat in his presence. But then if he's going through, as I said, a disorder that is perhaps maybe he's going through anorexia. Anorexia is the inability to eat well. When you are not able to eat well, and you see your client, based on his history, you have seen that he doesn't eat very well. So he needs somebody to encourage. You as a caregiver needs to encourage him. You need to pet him, or you need to pet her, your patient. So you can take maybe a spoon or two, but that again goes down to your relationship with your patient. Just like Madam had rightly said, especially if it's outside the country, outside the Western world, you let your patient know that, oh, it's against our ethics to eat with you. However, I would love to encourage you, and then this is a spoon, try it. And then, some people need that trust to see that what you are giving them to eat is not harmful to them. Because a person going through a mental disorder automatically is not feeling too well. So you should look at it from the position that this person is not well, and then you are trying to help the person. So if you take out a spoon and say, oh, look, I'm tasting this to tell you that, to assure you that what you're going to take is good, it's yummy, it's genuine, it's helpful to your health, and then why don't you try it? So when the person sees you trying it, doesn't mean that you are going to eat the whole food with him or her, but you're just taking a bit to encourage the person.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. From your response, Chuku Emeka, I don't need to ask you if you are okay with that answer, but I want to believe you are okay. And maybe we can just quickly also listen to, thank you, Mr. George, for that solid answer. Let's also listen quickly to Abosede if she has something to say about that. Abosede, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
You have something to say about this?
Regarding the cooking, I believe you will be trained on whatever food you're going to give the patient or the service user. You know, they will not just say, oh, go and cook for them. No, you will be trained on whatever food you're going to give to them, on how to cook their meals, everything is to be written out. You know, I remember, you know, in the care home, we all go to the kitchen, you know, cook, you know. If you don't know how to cook, you won't touch their food. But if you have to cook, you will be trained on cooking. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, appreciate that answer. That's good. Okay, we'll have to move ahead. Give Chukwu Emeka, I don't know, I can't mute you. Okay, I've muted you. You know, there's something happening here I don't understand. All the names I'm seeing here, let me not say it. Emerald Omoye.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening, House.
Good evening.
My question is, like you mentioned in your lecture, you said like few months ago there was this job about caregiving I was applying to online, and the link was sent to me from one of my family abroad. And while I was going through the registration, there was a section where they were asking about your experience, your work life. If you're working presently, write the details of your employer and the phone number, the address of where you're working and all of that. Okay, in that aspect, I am a business person. I am self-employed, right? I'm self-employed. I'm not working under someone for now. At that point, what would I feel? Because it's that particular colon is very important before you can go to the next stage. And I think you mentioned something in your lecture before the other lecturer started talking about working with an NGO. If you are in the children's department, like if you're a leader in the children's department, you can write that and all of that. What about if you're in the music, like I'm a church worker, and in my church, I'm a music director. I direct both the young, the old, the way the choir is, doesn't, as in there's no age and all of that. Can I also write that as where I'm working, because I'm still doing that presently? Can I use that? That's one of my questions, sir.
Okay, Mr. George Hemba, over to you. Mr. George, are you there?
Yeah, hello.
Okay.
Okay, I got her question, and yes, I got the question that at the given point where she has to fill in what she's doing. I want to ask a simple question, which is, how will you relate music to caregiving? Because if you have a very good understanding of what caregiving is, then there isn't really a correlation between caregiving and music. If, like Mr. Osaze had rightly said, if you were in the department taking care of the children, old ones in church, but you are you are a musicologist, just be caregiving. Because if you even look at the qualities of a caregiver, one of the qualities is patience. How do you apply patience in music in terms of relating with your patient? How do you apply? And then it's to now put music as what you are doing, and then you are expected from the other end to get a job as a result of doing music. But it would have been very okay if you are in the children department. Has been so easy. Is aside what you are doing as a profession, you should take out time to volunteer in any area that has to do with caregiving, so that makes it a bit easier. Standing as a volunteer is well recognized because the number of hours they are putting into volunteering. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. George. That's a good one. Excellent presentation there, and I'm sure you've answered that question. And just to add a bit to what you just said, music goes a long way, especially if you are handling a mental care issue. It's also one of the ways you can use in taking care of a mental health client, depending on the state and the type of challenge. You can use music. But the question is, as a caregiver, just like George said, if you are into music and there's no way it can help to ameliorate or remedy a situation, it becomes very difficult for you to defend it and give it as a reason why you should be engaged. He has said it all. And I've also just added where music can help. Remember, those of us that are Christians, if you remember in the book of Saul, I don't know, I've forgotten.
The book of Saul.
The book of Psalm, where David, was it David, used to come and play?
Saul, yes, David.
David used to come and play music for Saul whenever.
Yes, you're right.
Problem starts, you know?
Yes.
That is a clear case of mental health and music coming in to ameliorate a situation. Otherwise, if not done at that time, it can result to any kind of problem. And as a king, he needed somebody to play that music to calm him down. Yeah. Now, if you find yourself under that kind of situation, I'm sure you can easily tell them why you need to be engaged and employed. Thank you very much. I hope with the rest, you can answer the rest yourself. But I think we've done our best to tell you why and how. Okay, let's go ahead. Elizabeth Omwegberame.
Good evening.
Good evening, madam.
And thank you very much for this beautiful training.
Thank you.
Yes, I want to look at the mental health aspect of it again, whereby there was some time ago, I watched a video, somebody taking care of a lady as a client. And anytime she's feeding the lady will just be pouring the food back on her face. How do one handle such a thing? Because the person is an adult, you know, this way we deal with children. If a child does such a thing, you know how we treat such. But how do you treat an adult that is behaving that way? You're making the person to eat and the person keep on putting it back on your face. And when she stops that washing in the kitchen, you find her, she will still gather the ones in her mouth and be pouring it on the woman's face. How do you treat such a client? Thank you.
Okay, before I send it to the direction that question should go, I also want to add as a package to the person that will answer that question. Also add answer, please. Because somebody just asked here, what if you are molested or beaten up or slapped? I think it's basically the same thing.
Yes, they are related.
As far as I'm concerned, that is an assault. But
Yeah, they are.
Boss Day, please, we want to hear from you.
You know, like I said, communication is vital. You know, if I was in that situation, I would communicate with that lady. I would say, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, I would say, Mrs. Smith, I'm here to help you. If you don't want me to help you, I will leave right now. You know, you just have to tell them, because sometimes they might not even know what they are doing. They might not even know what they are doing. And that case must be reported. It must be reported all the time. Because, you know, when they find a pinch on the woman's body, you will be in for it. So in such a situation, you communicate to the person. And, you know, when you are slapped, like Dr. Osaze said, that's a case of assault. It has to be reported. So that's what I have to say.
Yeah, I think you just said it, because you have to look at this from several angles: angle of law, mental health. Can also be argued out legally and socially. Then, if it's from here in Nigeria, we also add the spiritual angle to it. So many things. But like I said, just like you possibly have said, there are laws guiding your practice. There's nothing happening to you, or there's nothing that would have happened that has never happened. There are precedents. So, and there is history of what must have happened before, something like this. And that is why when you report cases like this to your superiors or to the authority, they have already documented procedures for handling such cases. So I don't think your case will be the first case. So it makes it very simple, because it can be tackled, especially when it is reported. Madam Elizabeth Omonegbele, yes, I hope we've tried to answer your question.
Yes, it's okay. Thank you.
Very much. Merci. We'll try to answer everybody's question, but we may not answer everybody's question. I'm for everybody, I'm not for everybody. No, so I will try, because it's not possible to answer everybody's question. Chidera, let me give you this opportunity. But I can see two people there. Chidera. Please unmute yourself. Okay, yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Over.
Based on what the other woman said, concerning taking care of children, like me, I've been taking care of children since 2013. And you know, children differs from adults.
Yeah.
There are some things, he made mention of television, watching on television. And at times, if children are crying, you can put television for the attention to go there. So it will now reduce the crying. But in adults, she said that watching television while on duty is against the law. So that one, I don't understand. So I just want you to put me through in terms of adults and children, because it's two different parties.
Yeah, I think probably you didn't get her right. She's talking about you being on duty and watching television and leaving your clients. Just like making calls, watching videos on your phone and things like that. Those are things that fall under ethics. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. ITEL Vision 1+. The name is too long. ITEL Vision 1+. Okay. Olaide Olagoke.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
For this wonderful. My question goes like this: for a person like me, that I have no, apart from taking care of my own children at home, yeah, maybe for some of us that have not been opportune to work in a place, in a caregiving place, that take care of people.
Yeah, okay. You've been disconnected. We can't hear you. But from what I can glean from what you've said so far, for those people that don't have opportunity of doing any of these, we are not saying that you must have experience. We are trying to relate the fact that most people already have this experience, practical experience, and they don't know they have it. This is just an awareness program that leads you on to the next stage of level 3, where you also go and do your internship. When we are doing our level 3, you have to do your internship. Practical attachment to a place where you have practical experience. However, we are just calling your attention to the fact that most people already have this practical experience without even knowing it. Yeah, thank you. Okay. I'll try and see how much more we can take. Charity Okori. Charity Okori, please unmute yourself and let's proceed.
Okay. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Okay, my question goes to us. It's about the English exams. So my question is, how about those of us that has an English proficiency later from our colleges, or are there other applications going to augment what we already have?
Yes, I didn't get you right, and I'm sure other people didn't get you right.
Okay, what my question is, the other man talked about the English exam, English proficiency exam, if you have to work in the UK. So my question is, some of us has an English proficiency letter from our school, from our previous place of studies. Now my question is, can we be allowed to make use of it, or compulsory that we have to write the English proficiency exam?
Well, as far as I know, he will answer that question, but as far as I know, even people that studied English in university, they write IELTS. They studied English in university, to the best of my knowledge. Mr. Ovo, you might want to add up to that.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Saze. Charity, I said something about documentation. It has become an integral and important part of immigration documentation these days for people to have their English, their IELTS results. Now, if you listen carefully to what the other speakers said about how important English is in terms of reporting, how important English is in terms of communication, how important English is in terms of the use of words, how you use your words, you would come to believe that it is very important for you to have these results. And the British government has made it very clear that to enhance effective communication, especially for people who are coming to the country, because they've discovered that some people do not communicate effectively. The English language test is very important. Just like Mr. Saze said, that even those that studied English language in Nigeria most times are also asked to take the test. Thank you. I don't know if that answers the question.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. We have to move ahead, baby. We'll be closing very soon. I think we've done justice to so much already. Yeah. Please, I want to remind us that next time when you join a Zoom session, you have a facilitator, you have a moderator, you have panelists that are qualified to respond to answers. When you join just like any other student, even when you have a PhD in that very topic, as long as you are not one of the panelists, please avoid responding to other people's questions. I just removed about 3 persons who were responding to other students. Now, the reason is that it's very unethical and nobody knows your intention for responding, and you can also mislead those people that are here, and it will turn out that it was on Plage program that they were told ABC, because you are not one of the panelists, you are not a moderator, a facilitator, hence you do not have the legal right to respond to other students. Very, very wrong. Anyways, it's part of what we all need to know going forward in public space like this. Okay, I will just call 2 persons. Charity Okori, I want to believe we've answered your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good, fine. I want to call on 2 more persons. After that, we shall call it a day. iPhone, there's no name on your. Next time, I will not call you to ask questions if you don't put name on your phone, your whatever picture. iPhone, over to you. Just unmute yourself, please. Straight to the question, please. Are you there? Okay. Let's move ahead. Techno Pop 5 Pro. Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Evening.
Yes, sir. My question have been answered.
Oh, excellent. Merci beaucoup. Nena, A32.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I just want to ask if there's any age limit to the caregiving job.
Okay. Abosede, are you there to answer that?
Well, I think it's from 18 to when you're retired. Even at 60, you can still give care.
Okay.
Even at 60, yes. So from 18, from when you start working, you can decide to be a carer when you're 18. 60 years, you can still work, So.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I hope you are happy now. You are not up to 60, so you have a lot of time. Okay, Utwak. Utwak, before you report me to Zoom, please ask a question.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Okay, my question has to do with the different aspects of caregiving, under the different aspects of caregiving. Mrs. Abode said something about like it could be a caregiver could be to someone who is not sick, but who just needs a companion. So now my question is, what if maybe you are caring to someone who is not sick and just needs a companion, and maybe he or she wants to take you out of maybe the facility or the home? Is it okay? Is it appropriate for you to go with him or her, or maybe reject and say no?
I think we've said so much about ethics, and some of these questions are questions you or your own can answer. But all the same, let Abosede also tell us. She has been on ground.
Yes, it depends. It could be a 60-year-old man that just needs someone to talk to. Maybe the wife died or something. He's alone, and he needs someone. And he wants to go to the park. You have to follow him to the park. Like what the other gentleman said, you have to be professional in all that you do. If he wants to go to a restaurant to eat, you have to follow him there as well to the restaurant, but you have to be very professional.
Yes.
Is that okay?
I like the way you respond to questions, Mrs. Abosede. Straight to the point. That's good. Udwak, are you happy now? Are you happy now?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So you can always go out, but be professional. More hands are coming up. Okay, let me bring down the ones we've answered. That we know who is left. Oladejo Oshodi.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity given to me to have this kind of experience. But my question, sir, it has to do with a family friend that relocated from Nigeria to UK. The agreement is signed with the company was for 7 to 7 working hour. But knowing fully that this lady have a little kid, she explained everything to them. I have a baby of 6 months. I have a baby of, of 7, because she has 3 baby. She explained to the company, they were aware, and it's not that they were not aware, but on getting to UK, after working for 2 months, the 3rd month, the management that she's working for, they now call her that we have to change your time now. Your time will now be from 7 to 10, which was not original in the agreement before she left the country from Nigeria to UK. So along the line, she couldn't cope because of her small baby. Before she wake up, her baby have not wake up. Before she come back, her baby have slept. She have not seen the baby, and they are having a lot of issue. So as a result of that, the company said they can't change. That is how they want their team. Please, sir, in a nutshell now, is it right for a company that signed an agreement from 7 to 7, now, because we have now in their company now, they change from 7 to 10. Is it the proper way of doing it, sir?
As much as possible, I will try not to get involved with that because that is going to an area that's already within our area or scope.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, I will try not to get involved with that because if you want to talk about that, there are other things involved that you are not saying about the woman and having a baby too. And I will not, according to my friend, at a particular age, he neither says yes or no to any issue. So, but we'll prefer to stay away from that discussion and probably seek a professional advice or seek the services of a legal person to handle the case there or from here, whichever way you feel is okay.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okusonya Olusegun. Mrs. Legally Rashidat Sheyi.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good day.
Yes, sir. Sir, my questions are two. One, the first question is, what is the difference or what are the difference between auxiliary carer and the home carer, sir? And secondly, sir, the Lafarge certificate, is it recognized in other European countries or only in the UK, sir? Thank you, sir.
You say what? The second question, please.
The certificates you will be issuing to us, the Lafarge,
Yeah.
is it only recognized here in the UK or other European countries, sir?
Okay, let me talk about La Plage. Then Mrs. Abosede will answer the first question. When we started this program, I told you that Plage is accredited by American Council for Training and Development. I also told you that this program is CPD accredited. La Plage is also an accredited CPD provider, a UK accredited CPD provider. And any moment from now, we should also be getting a Canadian accreditation for our training. That is not on the table yet. So far, so good. We've had students that are working in US and in Canada with our certificate. Okay. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mrs. Apostle, please take your time and respond to her first question, please.
Please, can I hear the first question again?
My first question was, what are the difference between auxiliary
Hello? Hello?
Okay. Sorry. Hello? Was that question answered?
I didn't hear the question.
Oh, okay.
It went off.
Oh, okay. Let's just move ahead. We just take two more questions and we are out of this place, please. Mrs. Legally, please, what's the first question you asked? Mrs. Legally, kindly unmute yourself and ask your first question. Mrs. Legally, Sheyi, are you there? Okay, I have to move ahead.
I said I want to know the difference between auxiliary carer and a home carer.
Okay, over to you, Abosede.
Well, the home carer is when you go to different homes to, to give care to the, when you visit homes, you go to their homes to care for them. That's what we call home carer. We have what we call residential you know, elderly people's home, you know, those ones stay in an enclosed, you know, in a home. You have like 20 of them in the same, you know, that you care for. The auxiliary, I'm not really sure of the auxiliary, you know, I'm not really sure of that. So I wouldn't say anything about that.
Okay. Thank you. At least you've cleared one part of it. And just 2 more questions and we'll be out of this place. Uru Kunapo. Eru Kunapo. This is your question, please. Very brief.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
How do you deal with a patient who tries to rape you?
Okay. Bosse, over to you, please.
You call 911 or you call the police. You know, because it's not something you should take lightly. Yeah. You know, and that's why I said, you know, you must know the history of that person. It's always there in the book because, you know, the incidents book are there, and that's why we must read. You must know what that person is capable, you know, of doing. So once you see that, you call the police.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Only the last person now. Nengi Jaja. Nengi Jaja.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity given to me. Actually, I've really learned a whole lot. But my question is, I would like to know the difference between a caregiver and a caretaker. A caregiver and a caretaker.
You know, questions like this, I think we don't need to start answering questions like this. You just go online and Google these things, and I mean, you should start Googling some.
Yeah, but I didn't understand it well. That was why I said I wanted to know.
Yeah, just go to Google and type it out, and you get the answers to these two, and you read it separately. Okay. I think there are some applied questions like, what if I'm raped? Those are the kind of questions that if you Google it, you can even get those answers online too. And there are some questions that, of course, you can't get it just straightforward. That is why somebody on there can just say, okay, this is what it is. So that we can achieve a lot of things. And
okay.
Yeah, just go online. I encourage everybody. Let me tell you something shocking. Everything you see me do, my website, my everything, I did all myself without going to a single school one day. All I just did was go online, watch videos, and where I am today. Thanks to God. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have to call it a day. We never planned to stay for 2 hours. I can see that just 5 minutes, the next 6 minutes, 2 hours we got. We'll be hitting 2 hours. Yes, some new persons are coming in. I can see Vanessa, Adetona, Gainey, Peter Joy, Infinite Smart 6 Plus, Ojomo Olusegun. I can see they are there waiting. Unfortunately, we can't answer everybody's question. And I want to believe that to some extent, the question you intend to ask must have been answered one way or the other. And I also just say that find a way to go online, type some of these questions, and you get answers. And the classroom on WhatsApp is still there. Feel free to type your questions there and we'll respond to it. You have about a week or a week plus to read for your exams, because this time around, unlike previous times, we allow people to retake and retake and retake until they make it. Once you pass, you fail the second time, you have to wait for the next class and you have to pay to join the next class. So we want everybody to pass. so you have enough time. And as new materials, new information come in, we'll be throwing them into the class so that you can be doubly blessed with the information you're getting. Yeah, and for materials on IELTS materials on all the information you need. We have materials on it. We have materials for those of you that need to talk to sponsors, start talking to sponsors. If you are qualified to do so, start looking out for recruiters, especially when you have done with your level 3. It advise you start doing that now. We have materials. You can just download them for a fee. Very, very affordable, very, very cheap. Maybe after this, we intend to raise the price up to maybe 10,000 or so, 5 to 10,000. We're still thinking about what to make it. But you're going to find it very, very affordable. And I advise you to do it now so that as soon as you are finishing your level 3, you are already acquainted with everywhere you need to write letters to, all the sponsors you need to apply to. Yeah, I think we've done justice to everything we need to do. It's almost time. I would like to say thank you very much. I would like to say special thank you to Mr. Onovo Essay. He has done justice to and properly demystified IELTS. I want to also say special thank you to Mrs. Abosede Edopa for giving us a practical, for painting a practical picture of what it means to be a caregiver. Her contribution has made it possible for us to put ourselves in the picture and start seeing ourselves as caregivers, as if we're even on the ground giving care. I also want to thank Mr. George Hemba for creating a bridge between mental health and caregiving and helping us to understand the ethics behind caregiving, thereby making us to be better professionals. I also want to thank myself for taking out my time to sit down here and don't laugh. Who is laughing there? I also have to praise myself for sitting down for 2 hours non-stop, making sure you get the best and the best in Africa anyway. And I also want to thank you specially for making out time, sitting down for 2 hours, listening to us and creating this environment that makes it very, very, make it fun. Because if you are not sitting down here, and if you're not sitting down here, there's no way we'll be here on this program. Thank you very much, and I appreciate you. We'll be saying more in the classroom in the next 1 week. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Miss.